Hello, can everyone hear me? Let me know if you can see me and hear me. Can anyone hear me right now? Oh, there's a lag. If you can hear me, let me know. Okay, thank you. You can hear me. Can you see me? Is everything good? I'm actually outside. I'll talk about where I am right now. How about everybody else? If you can hear me, just leave a note in the comments. I want to make sure everyone can hear me. All right, so it looks like so far, Johnny, I can see you've got lots of questions here. Christina, Mark, thank you so much. Pedro, thank you also. So excited that you're here. You have tons of questions, and Andreas and I have been talking about them quite a bit this afternoon. Kristen and Mark know where I am right now, but I don't think I've shared it with everyone else. I'm actually in San Clemente, so on the coast in the Manabí province. I'm staying at cottages by the sea. And so the reason I'm here is, I don't know, maybe in October or November, a while back, on one of the Facebook groups, Kimberly, who is a Canadian, although also a US citizen, and has had a place down here since 2015 before said, hey, next time you're coming through San Clemente, you should come by. And guys, this place is so nice. San Clemente, San Jacinto, those are two places that I was really interested in staying just because they're small beach towns. And when I say small beach town, I mean, like, there's no malecon, there's just a road, there's no sidewalk. And her place here is really an oasis. So this is a place that you can see that's growing rapidly. And her place, when you walk in, of green, it used to be a hotel and she rebuilt it from scratch. And there are native trees everywhere. There's cabanas around a pool. It's still quite small. And so it's cottages. And so there are rooms. They've got a kitchen. It's really, I think, probably the best place to stay here. I think it's the most popular rated spot on Booking. And I'm not surprised. Like, it's really, really great here. And everyone here is so nice. So I'm very excited to kind of share this with you. It's a little bit, I can see, blown out, but I will have a video soon. Let's see. Oh, Smiley Woman 1, thanks so much for joining. Now, we are on the coast, and so Wi-Fi here is not always that strong. So please be patient with me. The Wi-Fi here is really quite good, but again, we are on the coast, so it comes in and out. Marco, I've never seen you before. You've never commented on any of my videos. So if this is your first video, be sure to leave a comment when we're done. DK Doyle, so happy to see you here. Hector from Guayaquil. You're actually on my list. So we have been traveling now for 3 weeks, I think. And we started in Esmeralda. So the idea here, Kelly, so nice to see you. The idea is to go from Esmeraldas all the way down to Guayaquil. So I did go to Guayaquil on my last coastal road trip, which was in October, and did spend some time in Guayaquil, shot 3 videos, I think, but we're going to go back and do a little bit more. But let me tell you, San Clemente, San Jacinto, I spent the morning in San Jacinto. So really, this stretch of the coast, you have 3 small fishing villages, and these are like real small fishing villages. You have San Jacinto, San Alejo, and then San Clemente. I know a lot of expats know about San Clemente because it's becoming a little bit more popular with expats, but still quite a small village. And then basically each of these villages along the beach just goes into the other, so much so that we actually had to ask where San Alejo is, which I think is where I am right now. But we weren't sure. It's really, there are those small. They're just really that small. But it's really an interesting up and coming kind of place. And we've seen that in northern Mana B is places are recovering from the 2016 earthquake and are now rebuilding. Some people decided to leave, but we're actually seeing like a lot of really nice development. Before I was here, I was actually in Bahia, which when I looked at all of the pictures online, I thought it was a big city. So I thought it was an alternative to Manta, but it's not at all. It's actually really quite large. So it is, oh, amazing cherries available all year round. I ate a lot of cherries and strawberries. I haven't had a cherry in a while, but we have had some strawberries. Had some strawberries around Cotopaxi. I want to get to the questions. So a number of you left me questions. Some of them were very spicy about. Oh, sorry, DK. Maybe because you're driving and then also because I'm on the coast. So, but I do want to get into questions. So this is a live, and afterwards it will also be a video, so you can come back and reference it. So let's get to the questions. Johanna, who is Ecuadorian but not living in Ecuador right now, is someone that always gives me lots of great advice, and she wanted to know what other countries in Latin America do I know. And so I think I shared this in my first live. In 2010, I quit my job and I bought a one-way ticket to Mexico. And then over almost 2 years, I traveled overland from Mexico to Argentina. So in Central America, I have not been to El Salvador. And then in South America, I have been to Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina. So I still have some to visit, but I've certainly seen the region change in that time. And I've been back to a number of the countries many times. Mexico, I've been to many times. Nicaragua, I've gone back. And then also in Ecuador, I think this is technically my 6th visit. So it has always been one of my favorite countries. And actually, back in 2010, when I was backpacking through here, my mom and sister came to visit, which was really special. Oh, Maria, you're here. I'm so glad you're here because you had a lot of questions. So Johnny had 2 questions. One, do I use a particular airline in Ecuador? So to get to Ecuador, I've shot 3 videos just talking about my airline experiences. I've flown both United and Delta. Delta was amazing. United was such a mess that I'm not going to fly back to Ecuador using them again. And then also, I'd like to try out Copa because I hear really good things with the stop in Panama instead of having a stop in the United States. And then you asked the South India restaurant in Manta, have I been there? No, I have not. So I didn't know this was a big thing. I probably would not go to an Indian restaurant in Manta unless there's a really good reason to go. But we are in San Clemente, which is just north of Manta, and we're heading to Manta later this week. Johanna, no. Gracias a ti. Could you please touch on international health insurance options? Sure. Remind me, Mars 54, remind me about that at the end. I'm certainly not an expert, but I can share with you what I use. Sean asked me some really interesting questions. So he asked me if I noticed that more Americans are moving to Ecuador. No, I would say it's probably a steady flow. Certainly in 2008, after Ecuador was named at the top of the International Living magazine for places to live, a lot of people came then. And then I think it's been kind of steady. So I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know because I'm not an expat, but I would say over the years, Andreas is actually sitting next to me. Yeah. It's probably kind of been like a steady flow of people coming in.
I can think that it has decreased.
Decreased?
Yeah.
Do you think that it has decreased because of the pandemic? Yeah. So obviously a lot of that, maybe one, also with the earthquake, might have stopped people from moving to the coast, and then also with the pandemic. Did my body have to adjust to the food or elevation when first moving to Ecuador? So I have spoken, and probably am jinxing myself, but because my job is actually, I have a website called BaconisMagic, like bacon, like the pork product. That's about culinary travel. And so I do eat for a living all over the world. initially I thought my YouTube channel would only be about food, but people ask me other questions. So that's why it's a lot of food and then a little bit of other things. But I think because I've eaten so many cultures around the world, I have a pretty good stomach. I also take care of myself. I eat yogurt most days, and I'm kind of aware of what's happening in my stomach. Try to eat a lot of vegetables here. In terms of altitude, yeah. So when I first got to Cuenca, I just took it easy for a week. I wasn't sick. Some people say they get sick. I did not feel that at all. But I was a little bit tired. Certainly in Quito, and even Andreas will say this. And he was born there, and then spends all of his time now. He lives in Cuenca. When we are in Quito having to do things, we're both huffing and puffing. Me more than him, but certainly altitude does begin to bother you. But to be honest, I think it kind of people let it get to them in their head. And so, for example, if you watch my Kilatoa video, I was like huffing and puffing and almost panicking, like thinking it was the altitude because it felt high. But then Andreas reminded me that it was at 4,000 feet, which was the same as Cajas. Meters, 4,000 meters, sorry. The same as Cajas, which I didn't have any problem with at all. So when I hear a lot of people talking about the altitude, I don't know what percentage of people really have an issue with altitude or are letting them. It's just kind of all in their head. Some people definitely have an issue, but we'll see. Okay, so his last question, Sean, was, have I visited or know about the red light district in Ecuador? So I have not visited. But it's not so much a district. So Ecuador has an interesting set of laws about people's rights. And one of those rights is people have a right to make a living. And so prostitution in Ecuador is not legal, but it's also not illegal. It's kind of this interesting thing. But you certainly do have a right to make a living the best way that you know how, provided, obviously, you're not hurting people. So within Ecuador, not within the city core. I don't think I've seen this ever in a city core, but outside the city, you'll see as you drive into places, it'll say nightclub. Nightclub is not a club. It's a brothel. That's a nice way of putting it. And so at one time, those women were Ecuadorian, often from more rural areas. But more recently, it's become a lot of people from Colombia and Venezuela. So the only thing I would say about this is I'm not judging people. Certainly, do what you want to do. But a lot of those people in Venezuela and Colombia are in very vulnerable situations. So that's not something that they're choosing to do. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, let me get to a couple of this. Oh, Kristen and Mark said Copa was great for them. Yeah, I think in my lifetime of flying in South America, I have flown Copa. I just can't remember. But certainly, I do not recommend United. Badvar wants to know if we could recommend or if we could make a video about the best place to eat tamales. Oh, Andreas is so excited about this, especially the ones made with raisins baked in banana leaves. Yes. So actually, we have some videos coming up. The interesting thing about Ecuador is it's not just tamales, but there are so many different kinds of food that are different flours or corn made different ways, wrapped in different kinds of leaves. So it is something that I really love learning about. So you will see more of that. And then we'll have to think about who has the best tamales in Ecuador. Do you know?
People say the Loja.
Oh, okay. So Andreas said people say the Loja province has the best tamales, but he's not sure.
You featured that.
Yeah, I did show the tamales Lojano in my video. Budvar, if you haven't seen my Loja video, you should watch it. But yes, we can include, I love traditional food, so we can definitely include more traditional food. All right. Fred says, go do yourself a favor to fish restaurant in Santa Marianita Beach when you go to Manta, and I will thank you. Fred, I am from the East Coast of Canada, so we'll see. I hope it's good. If it's good, I definitely will thank you. And then Pedro, you have so many questions. I did want to say to you, some of these questions, I think you might be able to get the answer to on Facebook. There is a group called the Digital Nomads of Ecuador. And it's not a really active group at all, but the group members are people who work online and are really helpful with issues about like security and Wi-Fi. And actually the group moderator has been in Ecuador for a long time and runs a number of businesses. So I do think you should go there, but let me help you with some of your questions here. Do I typically travel with a YubiKey type device? So I had to look that up. No, I don't. I do use a VPN and change my passwords often, but I don't. And I have security on my website for people trying to hack it, but I've never had a problem with anything like that. So I think that actually would be a great question for Digital Nomad Group. And then I did mention recently about a possible modification to my visa status. I have not worked with an immigration facilitator. There are a lot of them. Again, I would ask the Digital Nomads Group because I can't, because Andreas is Ecuadorian. I don't think we can personally recommend anyone. But Kristen and Mark actually recently immigrated here, and so they might be able to help you. So Kristen, if you want to comment, that would be awesome. Do I have any plans to explore and share via video rentals in the Cuenca area? No. So here's the thing. There are a lot of great videos from expats in all of Ecuador that share videos about immigrating to Ecuador, rentals in Ecuador, doing all of that kind of stuff. And that's really not my passion. So I've always said to people, I will answer your questions with my perspective of things, but also knowing that I don't have a business related to immigrations or rentals or all of these things. So I have no stake in the game there. So when I tell you what I think about things, it's because I'm not going to benefit either way from telling you the answer. I'm just kind of giving you my unbiased advice. But I do think there are enough expats making videos that if you ask enough of them, I think Don Shader in Manta seems to be like a pretty honest guy. And then there are some others. You've got Shane and Tanya and Alon. There are just lots of people that I think could give that advice. I don't really want to get into sharing rental videos because I think they're boring. Like I would rather eat food all day rather than touring rentals. Let's see. Dart again, Tan. Oh, you're from Cuenca. Oh, I'm so glad you're learning from my videos. That's awesome. So Pedro, you wanted to know about the cost and availability of the rabies vaccine in Ecuador. So it is available. I don't know what the cost is. However, from time to time, the government does offer it for free, just as at the same time with the street dog population, some regions are better than others at having clinics and things for spade and neutering. So like, for example, the stray dog situation that I've found in some places, I have not found in Cuenca at all. It's, to be honest, it's not common to see, especially in the center, a lot of people off leash. Most dogs are on their leash. I have not experienced seasonal affective disorder. So Ecuador does have 12 hours of sunlight a day. Even in rainy season, it's sunny and then it will rain for a period and then it gets sunny again. But you don't need sunshine, you need daylight. And so if you are worried about that, they say that the best thing to do is to get 20 minutes of daylight before noon. And I do that. I don't have seasonal affective disorder, but I just find it makes my day better. Okay. John, are there any signs the government will drop the vaccine requirements? No. So they are talking about potentially not wearing masks like outside and in places where there are not a lot of people. However, Ecuador was really devastated by the pandemic, especially in Guayaquil, where there were mass graves. People here take it very seriously. I would say Ecuadorians take it very seriously. And so I don't know when that will end, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. Now, depending on where you go, you may be asked or not, but certainly if you want to go into Supermaxi or into the grocery stores, things like that, you will be asked for your vaccine card. And a lot of people say on the coast that they're not asking for it, but that has not been our experience. Going into any kind of mall or formal store where there are security guards, the security guards always ask to see the vaccine card. Kristen and Mark, have I found any fishing charters that allow you to cook your catch? No, but we have not looked for it. So it probably, actually, here in San Clemente, one of their biggest things is sport fishing tourism. So absolutely, you could do it here. I will ask Kimberly at Cottages by the Sea here, and I will let you know about that. Is there need for bug repellent at the beach? Yes. So it depends. At the beach, no. Maybe at dusk. At dusk, you might need it. During the day, no. However, Manabí is endemic for dengue. They take it very seriously. I think right now Manta is getting fumigated on the streets, but it's very easy to get bug spray, and everybody has it. Like, for example, here, once it hit dusk, Kimberly asked me if we wanted some, but we had some. I've gotten mosquito bites, but you do need to worry about it simply because you don't want dengue.
And this is dengue is like dangerous this time of the year,
right?
During the rainy season,
right? So dengue is dangerous during the rainy season,
Yeah.
this time of year. So that's why we are being very careful about it. It's not all year round, and it's not all over Ecuador. How is the weather in Cuenca? So the weather in Cuenca is, it depends. So as I said, in the rainy season, it's sunnier, but it does rain for a period of time. When I was there in October, it was a little bit cool. I would say it does get warm. Quito is warmer. It does get warm. You definitely have to wear sunblock. But it's also cool. Like, it's a very temperate. It doesn't get too humid. You don't have the humidity on the coast. To be honest, right now, I think is the hottest time on the coast. And I have like a heat rash. And Andreas actually has heat rashes too because it's very humid here. Okay. Oh my God. Geomac, Granddad, I can't believe you made it. Thank you for coming to the live. The same thing for Todd. I'm so glad that you were able to make it here. All right. So Kristen and Mark also said, this is really good. If you're Canadian, join Canadian Expats for Ecuador. It's a fantastic Facebook group. I'm on it. I really find people there, are being nice Canadians. So people on some of the other groups are a little bit, if you ask a question that has been asked a lot, you get some mean responses. But on the Canadian expat group, I have to say everybody's nice. Stereotypical Canadian. Sophie, hi. Thank you so much for joining. All right. So, just getting through some of your questions. This one, I think people will be interested in hearing. Are we aware of any concierge services which can be paid directly to handle the logistics of setting up high-speed internet and paying monthly bills? I do want to address paying monthly bills first. Depending on where you live, certainly in the larger towns and cities, but actually even here in San Jacinto, which I think maybe has 2,000 people max, to pay a bill, you do not have to go to like the company building. So for example, you can pay online for a lot of different providers. And then if you don't want to pay online, or you can't pay online, or for whatever reason that is, you can go into a bank to pay. You can go into a Western Union. So, but little places like San Jacinto, which are so small, they don't have those things. It was like a tiny tienda where you could just, like a little convenience store, and I mean little, where they have signs that you can go in and pay. So there's no mail service here right now, but you don't have to worry. There's always somebody close by that you can pay a bill. So don't worry about that. Now, in terms of the logistics of setting up high-speed internet and things, I don't know of a concierge service. I think, Pedro, like, you speak Spanish, so I don't think you'll have to worry. I will say this, though. When it comes to internet, mobile, all of those things that require a contract, please read your contract. So, for example, you had a question about getting a mobile hotspot. Yes, there are companies able to do that. In Mindo, I don't have a hotspot. I just use Wi-Fi. So anywhere you go, I'm trying to think where we didn't have Wi-Fi. We even had Wi-Fi in Mashpee. Some Wi-Fi isn't very good, but I actually find that high-end hotels have the worst. Like the worst Wi-Fi I've ever had in a hotel, I think, was in Casagangotana, 5-star, because of it's like a concrete building. So the walls are so thick. It's like an old colonial place, like mansion, that it wasn't very good there. They had it, but for me to upload video files and things, I couldn't really do it. But otherwise, you don't have to worry about a hotspot. You can get them, but you should be aware, because for hotspots and things like that, they will ask you. You could have to sign up to a 2-year contract or buy yourself out. So always read your contracts for Wi-Fi, your phone, all of that. For my phone, I have an unlocked phone. I bought a SIM card at, again, like a little tienda for $6, and with the $6 for the SIM card, they gave me a bunch of internet, and then you can just top up with your credit card monthly. Or if for some reason you can't do that, again, you can even go into a pharmacy and you can top up your SIM card that way. So they make it really easy. Things work differently here. Sometimes you just think, wow, it's so much easier doing it this way, because anywhere you go, you can kind of pay any kind of bill. They want your money, so they make it easy for you to give it to them. All right, let me get to some of these questions here. Oh, Kristen and Mark have a bird watching question.
All right.
So today they went to a cascada in Puerto Maldonado, and they said they saw a tiny black head bird, teal neck, yellow belly.
Oh. Wow.
Andrea says, oh, wow, I will get back to you on that. Hola, David. Oh, from Salinas. Awesome. And then Pedro, I think I'm done with you. So, Maria, I have some answers for you. I'm going to read her question, because I think it's useful for people to understand how Ecuador is different from Latin America, and also different from the States. And so I think a lot of people think, oh, the way things work in, say, Mexico will be the same way as Ecuador. So you cannot get good Mexican food here. And I think that really shows you that we're so far away from it. Some of the problems they have in Mexico, we do not have here. So Maria says, I know it's always around everywhere, especially in the US. However, having lived in Ecuador for months at a time, how would you describe the visible gang elements? Other than what I believe may be obvious in Quito and Guayaquil, will have more than Cuenca. What have you been alerted to by Andreas? Have you seen yourself as in questionable areas to not consider living? Other than not getting involved in drugs, weapons, gambling, and human trafficking, what are your observations? So I would say there are no visible gang elements. So if we define a gang like you would see in the US, where you've got like the Bloods and the Crips, and like you have gang wars and fighting, that does not exist here in Ecuador. That does not mean there's not crime in Ecuador. That does not mean that there's not violence in Ecuador. But when we are talking about kind of as we would describe gangs in our own countries, you don't have that here. So you do have delinquency here. You do have people who might rob you. But what's interesting is that a lot of the videos that we see that are happening, for some reason, all of the crimes where people get shot, not all of them, but a lot of them get put up on the Ecuador expat groups. A lot of that is happening in Guayaquil, in dangerous neighborhoods at 4 a.m. between people who know each other. So
They're in risky business.
and they're involved in those things like crime, drugs, prostitution, all of those things. And so to see people encounter that as tourists that are not involved in that is not common at all. In fact, in Mexico, actually, it's not that common. But if you're involved in one of those things, yes, it is an issue. All right. Oh, Geomac. I am in San Clemente. So I'm currently traveling the coast, which we talked about Esmeraldas, and San Clemente, San Jacinto. So I'm here for a couple of days, and then I'm going to be in Manta. Oh.
Maybe.
Kristen, I don't know if you can see this, but if you can see this and that was the bird, it's a toucan. Toucanette. Oh, yeah, it's a little mini. Like it's a little mini toucan.
Yeah, so that is like one of the hotspots for bird watching in the world.
Oh, so he said your region is one of the hotspots for bird watching in the world, which means we're probably going to come visit. And then your other question for me was, other than trying to learn the language, attempting to change the culture, or buying property in the first year of landing, what are the most common errors we have seen expats repeatedly make? So we did not, we kind of agreed on this, but I think number one for both of us was not traveling the country. So I think people come here, they do an exploratory visit of 2 weeks, they hit the hot spots, and then they buy or they commit to a lot. And so, even within Manabi, the towns are so different. I was in Bahia yesterday, and now in San Jacinto. That's half an hour away. These are totally different towns. So I do think even if you settle in a place, and please rent the first year, you should be exploring more of Ecuador. You should understand the diversity of Ecuador, and understand the culture of Ecuador. If you're committing to this country, I think that's a good thing to do. And also, this country is so beautiful and it's so easy to travel. So, I'm just telling you, come here and retire and explore and travel. The second one, I think only hanging around with gringos and looking to get what you had in your home country now here. So a lot of people want to take their life and bring it to Ecuador. So the same as I'm saying, you should explore and learn about the Ecuadorian culture. I think you need to come here and have a fresh start and really look to what Ecuador brings you instead of how you can get your life in Canada or the US here. So I think people who do that have a much easier transition instead of saying like, oh, I can't get this here, I can't get that here, or ordering from Amazon is so hard. Ecuador has everything you need. Some things are more difficult. I mean, yes, bring all of your electronics because they're more expensive here. But if you're just trying to replicate your life at home here, you're definitely gonna have some issues. And then number 3, this is an interesting one. We had a long conversation about this. Expats often come here from first world countries and think they know better because Ecuador is third world. I really actually have an issue with people calling Ecuador third world because I think it makes people think that Ecuadorians are not well educated, that they're all poor, that they're not very bright. And so people come here and they're like, oh, I can make money. I'm going to have a business. I'm going to make this place better, or I can make so much money. I can make a killing with this new business. But you don't know anything about this country or how it works or how the government works or how trying to do business here works. And so people that will help you are often trying to take advantage of you. And I'm not talking about Ecuadorians. I'm talking about, there are a lot of gringos here that make a lot of money off of other gringos. And then there are a lot of Ecuadorians who might try to do that too. So some people are honest and some people are not. But you really need to spend time here to understand how things work, and then you can actually evaluate that for yourself. All right. So, yeah. Oh, Ella grew up visiting San Jacinto. Would you consider living there? No, I would not consider. The coast is not for me. I'm from the coast of Canada, and I love it. But I really do love the culture of Cuenca. There's a lot going on. Maybe if I were looking to retire, but for me, the great thing about Cuenca is it's not far from the beach. So I can visit, and Ecuador actually as a whole, wherever you decide to go. It doesn't take long to go to another place. So I do see here, if I could afford a beach house, yeah, I think it would be fantastic. I think San Jacinto could be a good bargain, a good investment spot. And then Geomac gives the great advice of avoid going out at night in Guayaquil. We also did not go out at night in Esmeraldas except for Playa Las Palmas. And when we were in Tansupa, actually, which is a beautiful beach and so lovely during the day, but the person who was taking care of the hotel would wait for us at the door at dusk because she wanted to make sure that we were safe and got in. Okay. Shane and Tanya. Oh, the real estate. Great advice. So Shane and Tanya, who are in Olón, have also decided to rent. I think you just need to, just the place that you fall in love with because you spent 2 weeks here may not be such a great place 9 months later. And so everybody else always asks me what my favorite thing is, what places I love the most. But what I need from a place to live is very different from other people. So I think you just need to be open, flexible, and say you move to Cuenca and you don't like it. Like when I look at Amelia and JP, I think they're on their third or fourth city that they're living in, and they're back to the Andes. So it just means for me, if you rent and you don't like it, you can pick up and go walk away. If you own, selling here is arduous. And so for me, buying is not something I'd want to do, except maybe a beach house. That would be nice. Jumac Grandon, I found San Clemente, Jacinto, been through on the road. We stayed in Bahia before that earthquake. So it's very interesting because Bahia is only 20 minutes away. It was really impacted by the earthquake. However, I think it's one of the fastest to rebound. And that's because I think so many wealthy Ecuadorians had property there and were able to fix it, or it's also really booming with new condos and things. But they seem to be doing well. I think they said they now have under 10 buildings that either need to be reconstructed or demolished. But I think that actually will happen, at least the beachfront properties, because people are looking to buy. It's beautiful there. I really enjoyed it. I really thought it was like a small Manta and was shocked that it's really more like a small town. Keith visited Guayaquil back in January. You tried to rent a car at the airport. They wanted to charge me a $7,000 warranty fee. It ruined my whole trip for not being able to rent a car. Keith, I will say this to you, just hire a driver. I believe hiring a driver is the similar cost to renting a car. Also, driving here is kind of crazy, and you get not only a driver is usually also a pretty good guide and can help you navigate through some of the trickier areas. So one of the things I really like about traveling with Andreas is that he knows so much about, sometimes there are signs that maybe a place is not so great, but they're not something that I would catch. And then also he can talk to a lot of people just about certain neighborhoods. And buying a car here is expensive. Tony wanted to go to Thailand, but I'm liking Ecuador a lot now. Thank you. Definitely different places. I love Ecuador, and I love Southeast Asia as well. But Ecuador, I think, is just really special. It's also close for me to Canada, so it's a short flight home. Maria, great points on the top errors repeated. Yes, so whenever I ask everyone for questions before a Q&A live, I always talk to Andreas about them just to get his perspective as well. We don't agree on everything, but sometimes he brings up some really good points that I think is important to share with you guys. What online jobs do you suggest for expats in Ecuador? Ellie, I suggest retiring if you can. Come here, enjoy your time. Online jobs, I don't know. It's tough. Whatever you did before you retired, I would look at maybe there's a way to do that online. There's a lot of Facebook groups I think I'm on one there's definitely digital nomad groups. There's the digital nomad in Ecuador group, teaching English maybe. I'm not sure. Have I visited the town Clementina? Keith, I'm not sure where that is. Clementina? San Clemente, where I am right now, maybe, Keith?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's any other.
No.
Yeah, I think you mean San Clemente, and I'm right here right now. So it is amazing. As I said, cottages by the sea. I really love it here. I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I actually really love it. Just because there's so much greenery, which I would say San Clemente doesn't. They've taken down a lot of the greenery, at least on the ocean front. And so it's really nice to have it in a space. Hola, Ignacio. Thank you so much for coming. Todd, would there be enough for me to do just staying in and around Quito for 10 days? Yes. I could then come back another time to see other cities. Are flights between cities within Ecuador reasonable? Absolutely. You can get a LATAM or Avianca flight from Quito to Cuenca for between $50 and $70. And I believe now Manta just announced that they're doing in and out flights on the same day. So you can fly into Manta and out to Manta on the same day if you wanted to do that. But yes, within Quito, I would look at. I have so many videos from northern Ecuador. I love northern Ecuador. It is so beautiful. That's like Otavalo, the haciendas that I went to there, Cotopaxi, Latacunga. I have a video coming up Saturday that I love Latacunga. Everybody told me there was nothing to do there. Quito is a giant city. I don't love it as a city. I would not live there. It's big. I think it's like LA, like you're in traffic all the time. Also at night, no one is on the street. So the historic center is dead. It's not like Cuenca where at night people are still walking around, businesses are open. The historic center of Quito, somebody got mad at me for saying this in an expat group in Quito, but there's nobody on the street. And when there's nobody on the street, that's dangerous. Oh, Geomac, Don, Shade, or Badmouth Bahia. So it is definitely more grown up. So two things happened. They've got the bridge from San Vicente. And so that changed things quite a bit. I will say when we first arrived to Bahia, I wasn't like a huge fan of it. And I think, I don't know what I thought. I thought it was going to be like a city. And then I didn't really understand the appeal of it because a lot of buildings had been affected by the earthquake and we're just standing there, hadn't been taken down. But we stayed 3 nights because I needed to do some work. And I stayed at Cocobongo. And I really, we just really had a great time. It's safe there. Same thing for San Clemente. Bahia, San Clemente, San Jacinto are still safe places on the coast. We walked around with my camera.
The car was parked outside.
Car was parked outside in Bahia. Nothing happened. We walked around at night. The Malecon is beautiful. A lot of families out. I would say both places, not a lot of nightlife. So if you're looking to party, Bahia is not the place to do it. All right. Shane and Tanya, online job, YouTube. Yes, you can do YouTube. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Bigfoot Journeys. Have I been able to tour the large Los Olas development project located at Pahana Beach between Bahia and San Clemente? No, I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't know if we're going to have time to do that this time, but maybe on the next coastal trip. Ellie was in Cuenca last week. I had a great time. If anyone needs recommendations, awesome. Ellie, tell me what your recommendations are, because if I haven't featured in a video, I would love to hear what you loved. All right. So I have a question from, Kristen Marksay. We bought because of the future of the Canadian dollar. This way we can control our expenses better. Renting, you run the risk of rent increases, owner moving in or selling, and then you are looking again. I think Kristen and Mark are actually unique. You guys are, I would say, very flexible, adaptable, knew you were moving in where there was not a big expat population, and also were willing to really put in a lot of work. So I feel like you guys are exception to the rule. Geomac needs that all night long party life. So yeah, that's how we feel. Like when you couldn't go out in Esmeraldas, we thought that's fine. We have zero desire to go out at night here. Now, Brian asked me, am I planning to do a video on the Ecuadorian Amazon? So yes, I am. I'm actually not planning to do one video. I'm planning to do several videos. So I really wanted to first go to Esmeraldas. Esmeraldas is a fascinating area that a lot of people dismiss as just being dangerous. And so in my experience, I would say the danger level was similar to going to Guayaquil. Like you need to know where to go and where not to go. And then when people tell you not to go somewhere, don't go there. And so we really loved it. Also, spoiler for the videos that are coming, it was by far the best province for food. So I do love the food here in Manabí, but Esmeraldas blew Manabí away. Every meal that we had was outstanding. Not just okay. We didn't have one single meal where I just said, oh, that's good. It blew our minds. It was so good. We were sad to leave. We actually went back up again to eat a little bit more and then finally came back down to Manabí. The people there were really nice. The beaches were stunning. So I would say the most beautiful beach in Ecuador. Do you think it ties with Las Frailes? Isla Portete.
Oh, stop.
I know.
No, Portet is the most beautiful.
Okay, so Andreas, who loves Las Frailes, just agreed with me that Isla Portete is the most beautiful beach. The beaches there are amazing. The people there are so nice. They're really helpful with, you can say like, hey, can I go into this neighborhood or can I go into town? Now they do use code words like it's complicated or it's difficult. So they don't say dangerous. So unless they say, yes, it's fine, don't go. We had a couple places we planned to go and people just said, it's complicated. And so we thought we're definitely not going there. Now, in terms of the Amazon, I don't want to give away what's happening the next couple months or what's going on, but I think I told some of you that I was planning on going to Mexico. I am not going to Mexico because I didn't want to rush the coast. And I want to go to the Amazon, and I'm not going to just shoot one video. We are going to shoot several. If anyone has suggestions for places to go, things to see, I would love to have them. Sorry, there's a mosquito right in front of my face. Give me your Amazon suggestions. But I didn't want to rush. I didn't want to rush through Esmeraldas. I don't want to rush on the way down to Guayaquil. And I certainly don't want to rush the Amazon because, again, I do think there are some things going on there that are really important where tourism can help. Todd, I have 10 to 11 days to spend in Ecuador. If I'm going to stay in primarily one place, would Cuenca be the best choice? I'm not a beach person. So I do really like Cuenca because you could
Go south to Vilcabamba,
go to Loja, you could go to Vilcabamba,
and you can go to the jungle.
you could also go to the jungle. Yeah, I would say you can see a lot of southern Ecuador and northern Ecuador, I feel, are different kinds of places. But depending on what you are looking for, I think there are a lot of good places in southern Ecuador. In May, it's going to be hot. That's also might be good for southern Ecuador because you'll get the best weather. Kristen and Mark, congratulations on your subscriber numbers. Thank you so much, guys. It's been really great to see this channel grow. So my goal with this channel is to inspire people to get out and visit more of Ecuador. So it's not just about Cuenca, Quito, Salinas, Manta. There are so many beautiful places here, and I really want to share with people how easy it is to go places and to do things. And I share the food with you because I want you to know the background of the food, but also to be able to go into these huecas, these little independently owned restaurants, and you don't see English on the menu, and maybe things look strange, but Ecuadorian food is so normal, except for latzacunga. I had some pork jello. That was weird. You'll see that. But Ecuadorian food is so normal, and I just want to share that with you as a way to help you feel more comfortable going into a restaurant and saying, oh, there's bologna. I know what bologna is. I know what tigrillo is. I know what encebollado is. I know why I should eat encebollado on the coast rather than in Cuenca. Yeah, I don't eat encebollado in Cuenca. And it's my favorite Ecuadorian food. So for me, I put out so much work into these videos. We travel so much. We are sometimes on the verge of burnout. It's actually really been nice to be in Bahia and San Clemente because we decide to spend more days and just rest as we're also shooting videos. But I also really care about Ecuadorians, and I want Ecuadorians to profit from tourism, to profit from expats moving here, and for people to feel like they can trust Ecuadorians and they don't always have to go to a foreign business just because there's English spoken there. Oh, hi, Sonia. Thank you so much for joining from Toronto. Leah, the food is my favorite. Sometimes we see food and I know it's a dish, but we can't find it. So in Cotacachi, we had dishes there that you just don't see. And it's because a lot of traditional Ecuadorian food is very difficult to make. It takes hours. And so people don't want to do that anymore. They just want to eat like something that is easy and quick to make. And so one of the great things that we experienced in Esmeraldas was anytime you ordered food, we waited at least half an hour for a food, at least. And this was fish that we were ordering or shrimp. And it's because they make everything to order. So you're not just eating something that maybe they made in the morning and are reheating. It was just really fantastic food. And you see the culture and the difference between the different regions in Ecuador in the food. Ellen, so glad to see you. LA, I like your advice. Thank you. I love Ecuador too. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I think there are some really great channels. For those of you that speak Spanish, also, there are some really great Spanish speaking channels that I personally love to watch. But we've got a lot of really good foreign YouTubers here who are also sharing all over the country, which I think is great. I just have the ability that I'm mobile. Andreas is a guide, so I've hired him to help me navigate and to share with you. So I really always appreciate the comments that everyone says to me that I'm so knowledgeable about Ecuador, but that's because I'm with a guide. And so, as someone who's traveled for a living for 12 years, a lot of people will say, I don't want to take a tour or I don't want to get a guide. Like, I want to do it authentically. You will miss so much. Having guides, supporting the local tourism industry is important. And also, you get so much more out of it. All of these things that I share with you in videos are things that I have learned that Andreas has shared with me. And I'm sharing it with you, but I don't share everything with you because if you want to know all of it, you should hire him. Can you tell me the name, Johnny? Can you tell me the name of your guide in Cuenca? That's Andreas, who I've just been speaking about. So he is a national guide. Is hired a lot to do bird watching, is hired a lot to do Cajas, Ingapirca, that whole area, but also does travel other places around the region. And so he has lived in the US. He has also lived in Germany. I think it gives him a really good perspective of sharing with foreigners kind of maybe some differences of things that maybe he knows they will find interesting because he spent time in their country as well. Ellen, do I have advice for learning Spanish? Yes, just two things. One, just get over your fear of speaking it. At some point, like you're never going to be, well, I'm still half the time, most of my Spanish is really wrong, but people are so nice here that they figure out a way to understand you. So just practice. So you just have to decide, even when people speak English to you, that you will respond in Spanish. And then the other thing is, don't hang around expats all the time. So it's really hard to learn Spanish. The best way to learn Spanish is not to hear English. So yes, definitely take classes. There are a lot of online courses that you can take. I have a couple of channels that I watch. One is Spring Spanish. There's also there's a guy out of Playa del Carmen, and I think his name is Dave. Let me get back to you on that. But there are some really great channels. And then I would say take classes. Try to get some Ecuadorian friends who don't speak English, or if they do speak English to you, just tell them, that you only want to converse in Spanish. Andreas and I actually have a really bad habit of 99% of the time speaking English, which is really great for him, not so great for me. Johnny, Andreas is busy, but I'm leaving in June. So he does do tours when I'm in Cuenca. He does take other tours. And then I'm leaving in June, and he should be in Ecuador at that point. So he's always, if he's not available, he does have people that he recommends. So in all my videos, I have Andreas's Instagram, and I think I'm just going to add his WhatsApp to it. You can always send him a message on WhatsApp. Yes, it's even better to have family in Ecuador. So actually, a lot of how I learned Spanish, because I've only taken about 3 weeks formally over 12 years, was actually being places where people didn't speak English. And so now it's good actually, because although Andreas and I almost always speak English, I'm doing a lot of writing lately, a lot of emails in Spanish. So he has been helping me with that, and then just helping expand my vocabulary. And then also in videos, I'm sure you hear he corrects me quite a bit. Mario, hi from Atlanta. Pedro, I agree. Waiting for great food made to order is a rewarding pleasure. Like, get a beer or a lemonade, take your time, enjoy the views here. Just don't be in a rush to eat. The food, when it takes a long time, I say half an hour is good. We did have an experience in Cuenca where we waited for like almost an hour and had to walk out. But yeah, don't expect things to be like they are from home. Things do take time. look for busy places. And if places are busy, that means the food's going to take a little bit longer too. All right, we are almost at the 1 hour mark. So if anyone else has any questions, let me know and then we'll wrap this up. All right. Oh, Kristen and Mark. Yes, there are many dialects of Spanish, but I can probably, yeah. So there are many dialects of Spanish. So for example, within Ecuador, people speak differently. People speak differently on the coast than they do, say, in Cuenca. And then there are kind of regionalisms between Cuenca and Quito. But I would say if you learn Spanish in Quito or Cuenca, everybody's going to understand who you are. Ecuadorian Spanish is very clear. People speak more slowly, certainly more slowly than and clearly than, say, you go down to Chile, or even, to be honest, in some parts of Colombia. And so my Spanish is kind of a mix of many different countries, but a lot of it is very much Ecuadorian. The other thing I like about Ecuadorian Spanish is it's very polite. There are a lot of pleasantries. And you quickly learn that, like, if you have a question, you can't just say, hey, can you tell me this? You have to greet the person, ask them how they are, and then you get to the question. A lot of foreigners miss that. And I think Ecuadorians give them a pass, but it's also considered rude. So it's not only just learning the language, but learning how to interact and really going back to some old school etiquette of how to address people and to really address people formally first before you move on to casual Spanish. All right. Spain Spanish was what many apps use. Don't learn Spain Spanish. I find it harder to understand, and also the words are different. So I would equate it to English in the UK versus English in Canada and the US. So look for Latin American Spanish. And the interesting thing is actually when you go to Spain, they will say usually that Latin American speakers, it's like a more pleasant Spanish. It's clearer. And in the case in Ecuador, especially in Cuenca, they are known to almost sing their words, which I think is very charming. Oh, Kristen and Mark gave up Survivor to watch me. You were not disappointed. I hope you taped it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have not watched my Termas Papayacta video, I released it yesterday. It is one of my favorite spots. I have 2 more videos coming from northern Ecuador, so Latacunga, which everyone told me there was nothing to do there. That's not true. The video is at half an hour, and today I'm actually trying to hopefully get it down to 25 minutes so it's not too long. So many things to do in Latacunga, and I want to go back because there are lots of traditional food dishes, and it's only an hour from Quito, so it's really great. And then also Salcedo, it's a region known for its roses, its ice cream, and then also a lot of very traditional like desserts and sweets. So that's the end for today. If you haven't liked this video, please do. If you have more questions or thoughts about this live, please leave a comment in the video comment section, and I'll see you, I guess, Saturday. Saturday, you'll learn all about Latacunga. Bye, guys.